what's up, everybody? Listen, you're here on the Gloss America YouTube channel. You know what to do. Hit like, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite average to good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad, alongside Tony Meola and Charlie Davies. And guys, we have a hell of a show today. We have a special guest joining us. He'll be joining us very, very soon. And then we're obviously going to preview the U.S.'s game against Ecuador, talk about some other stuff, as we always do. However, before we get to our guest, Tones, I want a little quick temperature check on how you're feeling about this Ecuador game, because they were fantastic in qualifying. They played 18 games, everyone, in South America, one of the toughest regions to qualify in, and they only gave up 5 goals. They gave up 5 goals in 18 games. That is wild. And so my temperature check is these guys might be hard to break down. What are you saying?
Yeah, my temperature check is, let's see if we can challenge ourselves and be consistent in the attack, right? We've been talking about this for a couple games. I think it's the next step for Mauricio Pochettino on this side, and you're going to get to do it against, as you mentioned, a really good defensive side. So how about let's accept the challenge and get after it, man?
Yeah, I love that. How about you, Chuck? Quick temperature check.
Yeah, I mean, 11 games unbeaten for Ecuador. I think when you're talking about their back line, it's going to be a really difficult back line. You got Estupiñán on the left, you got Preciado on the right, Pacho and Ordóñez and probably in the middle. They're missing Moises Caicedo. They're missing Ngapié. So those are the 2 players that they're missing, but ultimately this is a dynamic team and it's a really good challenge.
All right. Woo, lots to break down. But first, we got to get to our special guest live from Austin, Texas, 24-year-old from Birmingham, Alabama, currently playing for Lyon and, of course, the U.S. men's national team. It is Tanner Tessmann. Hey, Tanner, great to see you as always. So this is your first time back in camp since March. How are you feeling?
No, yeah, feeling great. Thank you for the warm welcome. It's been a good couple of days here in training in Austin, and getting ready for the match for tomorrow. So looking forward to it.
Okay, so this summer was a little bit busy for you. If I'm not mistaken, you had a baby, right? So you're like in the throes of being a dad, which is awesome. Congratulations. And then coming off that summer, you come back to Lyon. You're super sharp, and you scored 2 game winners recently. I mean, some absolute bangers, by the way. Are you eating anything different? Like what's changed? Let's say you couldn't score those before, but I feel like you've hit another level.
Yeah, it was a busy summer for sure. Yeah, my wife and I had our first little kid, our son. So it's been a great raising him for the last 6 months, and it's such a blessing. But yeah, it's a great start to the season. Happy to contribute with some goals. Definitely eating the same thing, the nice Lyon cuisine. So,
I love it.
No, but it's been good. It's been a great
top cuisine.
Tanner, first off, yeah, congrats on the birth of your child. That's great. Always changes your perspective. Jimmy just mentioned the goals. One of the things, midfielders, we talk about central guys, right, and oftentimes talk about distribution and passing. Is that something that you wanted to add to the game? And everyone wants to score goals, but not everybody's a goal scorer, if you will. Is that something that you said, okay, going into this year, I need to improve in that area a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Last year I scored 1 goal, and I played a decent amount of matches, so definitely wanted to increase my stats in general and contribute to the team the ways I can. And yeah, I think I've started well with that this year, but obviously need to continue and to keep helping the team in the moments. But I know it's something I'm capable of doing. Just got to put myself in the right place and have the confidence to take those opportunities.
Well, Tanner, your new manager, Paulo Fonseca, comes in and just says, this guy's got it all. He's so important to the team. When you hear those words from your manager, what does that do for you as a player? What does that signify within the group as well? I mean, I think you've probably learned a lot from Nemanja Matic, playing with him every day. But how have you continued to grow as a player?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously really nice to hear from the coach when he says something like that. But at the end of the day, I think he's shown that to me every day, preseason and even last year when he came into the team. So I think it's something that I've seen every day, and he's showed the belief in me in the trainings and in the matches. So it's something I kind of already knew based on the relationship we have and everything like that. So yeah, last year was a different year for me. I was learning from a lot of really talented players that have had great careers, and I was able to learn from them and still get to play a decent amount of minutes. But this year is more about the minutes, less about learning from the players. So yeah, it's been like I said, it's been a great start, and there's also a long way to go. So we got a lot of matches to play.
Hey, it's that Tanner's time. Let's go.
Tanner time, baby. And I love that you're giving more responsibility from the manager. Obviously, that's a sign of trust, which is a big deal, of course, as a player when you receive that. Now, the last window, we played against South Korea, played a back four. That one didn't go so well. We switched to a back three, and we ended up playing pretty well. The spacing and the flow and the rhythm and the tempo that we set against Japan, getting the result was very good. When you see the team that is in a back three, do you feel like you could fit into this puzzle pretty well? Does that excite you? Like, hey, if he calls me in for October, I feel like I could really help the team. Of course, you can play in a back four, but maybe a back three gets you a little more excited.
To be honest, it doesn't really matter to me. I systems and different clubs. I think it just kind of comes with different tactics and understand where players are in positional game. But at the end of the day, it's it depends on the opponent and how we're going to set up. But the in game things are always the same. The duels, the determination, the running is all the same. So yeah, I don't know if it excites me more, but it's definitely exciting to be in camp and to play with these guys and a couple of guys I've never played with before. So it'll be nice to get on the field with them.
Tanner, forgive his questioning. He is a center back, so sometimes he
I love talking. I'm a team.
Maybe it's not so much of a big difference for you as it is for him. You know what I mean?
I'm a team shape nerd. Okay, fine, you got me. I'll raise my hand and accept it.
Tanner, with the move, obviously, young days at FC Dallas to Venezia, now here to Lyon. What's been sort of the biggest eye opener along your young career so far? Where you're saying, you know what, I thought it was going to be this when I got to Europe, but it's really this, if you will.
That's a good question. I think, I knew that getting to Europe was a dream of mine to play Europe. I knew it was just the beginning. I knew I was going to have to fight for my place and earn my role in any team I was going to play in. But I think the biggest surprise, I guess, was just the fan base in Europe and the intensity of the fans and the passion of the fans. Not just on match day, it's, 2 days before the game, if we have an open training session or if we have any meet and greets or anything like that, it's these fans are just so bought in and just love football in Europe. So I think that's been the biggest eye opener to me, is just how passionate the fans are.
So talk to me about what happened at the end of last year. Lyon, Crystal Palace, you're wondering, are we going to get to play in Europe? Are we not? Are we going to get relegated? What was going through your mind behind the scenes? Were you already planning, if you did play in League Two, were you going to stay, or were you planning on making the move? How often were you on the phone with your agent? What was that moment? What was that time like for you?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting time. I was on vacation when I got the news. So I showed my wife, and it was like a, oh my goodness moment. Obviously just had a kid, so was like not even thinking about football then and just focusing on him and everything like that. But at the end of the day, the club handled it really well. And throughout the whole thing, the communication with the club was, don't worry guys, like we're fine. Like, this is just for now, but they're going to have the court date to this day, and we're going to we have all the funds, we have this, we have that. And so they gave a lot of confidence in the players to be like, it's okay. Like, don't worry, don't stress so much, which they obviously backed it up, and we stayed in League One and obviously playing in Europa League. So the club did a good job handling everything. But I think at the end of the day, last year we finished in a Europa League spot. I think the players, we deserve to be in League One. The club definitely deserves it in League One. So yeah, now it's just a push to try to fight for Champions League this year and get the club back where they belong.
Now, Chuck, you forgot that Matt Turner was his teammate, and then he wasn't his teammate. Now he's his teammate again with the U.S. men's national team. So let's talk about camp. We're hearing that the tempo and the intensity of camp has been next level, and everybody's super sharp and ready to get after it. What have you experienced over these last few days playing with the guys?
Yeah, I'd say exactly that. It's been really good intensity. Everybody seems eager to get on the field and to make an impact. It's been great training sessions, high intensity from the coaches and from the staff. So it's been really enjoyable, very competitive, which I love, and I think the guys love as well. So very happy with how the guys are moving and the health of the team. So yeah, we're really looking forward to tomorrow.
Tanner, what do you take from that experience in March at the Nations League? We were all there. We covered it, obviously. Safe to say, right? Not the results you guys wanted, but there's got to be some learning lessons from that. 100%.
I think it was a very humbling experience. Obviously, playing in in the stadium we're going to play in the World Cup. So to be able to experience that is good, I think, in the future, which is obviously a learning experience. But yeah, it's definitely never to underestimate an opponent and go into the match, worrying about the things that we can control and trying to put the game away in the moments we can, I think is important. So I think a lot of guys learn from that game, especially myself, just to go into these games, always focusing on the team and what we can do to dictate the game and not letting the game dictate us. So I think that was most important.
And to build off of that, Tanner, what's the relationship with Mauricio Pochettino in terms of just understanding what he wants from you, what he wants from the team? Because, for you came in, I think you got your feet wet under Pochettino. He was thrilled about how much you've grown and your impact within the game. And then it's been, a couple of windows without you on the pitch. Now you're back. Where have you picked up and how's that relationship on the pitch in terms of your demands?
Yeah, no, it's a very good relationship. I think he's very clear with what he wants from me, but also from the guys. So, yeah, the expectation is exactly what I'd imagine. And coming into the camp, it's about performing and showing the type of player that we are and type of player that I am, and helping the team and being a protagonist in the team. So I think that's the message, and it's clear. And yeah, Pochettino's a great guy. He's a normal guy and loves to talk about football, have a good time. But obviously, when we get to the pitch, it's time to go. And I think he's really showing that this camp for sure.
All right, Tanner, last question here before we let you go. We've had you on the show before, so we've heard about your jersey swaps and all that. But you had an absolute cracker of a goal in Europe against Utrecht. And after you hit that one, you gave a little shush. And I was just wondering who you were shushing in that particular moment. Like, were you just dabbing on the haters, or like what? Or was there somebody in particular you were shushing?
No, it's obviously I didn't start the game, and when I was warming up, I don't speak Dutch so well, but it didn't sound so pleasant. And so kind of where I scored the goal, where I went to shush the crowd, was right where my teammates were warming up and where I warmed up. So you could put the puzzle together.
Yeah. All right. I got plenty of time
French,
for that.
by the way.
How's your French coming along?
How's the escargot? What are we eating?
Definitely not that. No,
hey, it's good.
French is coming along okay. Everybody speaks English. A lot of new guys coming in to speak English, but step by step, learning about French and everything.
Tanner, I was getting fined 100 euros anytime I spoke English around my team. My coaches were like, you got to learn French. If you speak English, you're fine. I think I paid 1,000 euros within the first 2 months. So, yeah.
I would have paid a lot more.
Well, Tanner, thank you so much for your time. Good
man.
luck in the game tomorrow and the camp overall. We're pulling for you. And congrats once again on the new baby. That is very awesome. Being a dad is the best thing you can be. All right, Tanner Tessmann, everyone. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All the best.
All right. I'm fired up and ready to see Tanner play. Do you think let's do a little post interview recap here. Big Tones, how are you feeling about that interview?
Yeah, the interview is great. Always great to catch up with these guys and see sort of the, we'll call it the human side of. They seem the humble kid, right? We've had him on before. We've spoken to him before, so we knew a little bit of that. And he's in that part of his career. He's 24 years old. He's playing in Europe. He's playing in European competition, and he's getting ready to play potentially in a World Cup. Like, as a player, what else could you ask for, right?
Yeah,
you're like in the middle of your career, like the things that you dreamed about when you were 12 years old and 15 years old. Like, he's there. He's another one of those guys that's there right now. And I know there's a lot of guys around the world going through this, but relatively speaking, there's not a lot, I guess. And he's in that moment right now, and he's one of those guys that is kind of, I don't know if that he's going like this. But man, he just keeps going like this. Like, every time you I feel like sometimes, Chuck, when you take that first big step, then all of a sudden, we see guys fall.
You get humbled. You get humbled real quick.
And he just seems like just creeping along and getting better and better all the time. So that progression right now, Chuck, is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I have to say, I've been so impressed with his progress. The way that he's been able to take each challenge and move along. It's almost like the turtle versus the hare. He hasn't gone like in this meteoric rise, and next thing you know, he's playing Champions League, and he's gone about it the right way. I think he's, going to Serie A, going to Serie B. It's a grind, comes out of that, then goes to Lyon. And what a big club. It's a massive club. Obviously, they had some turmoil, but they came through. They're playing in Europa League. The guy was playing against Manchester United last year, right? In the knockout round in the Europa League. He's had a pretty successful and impressive career thus far. And I think he's just getting started too. So when your manager like Paulo Fonseca comes out and talks about his importance within the team, that he's one of the first guys put on the team sheet, he's really done incredible things so far. So I'm happy for him, and you could tell the way he's talking to us, he's in that like, guys, I'm ready, like I'm focused. I don't really want to do all of the
I think what's incredible, and using Tanner as an example, is that we could potentially have 5 alumni from the FC Dallas Academy: Weston McKennie, Ricardo Pepi, Chris Richards, Alex Zendejas, and Tanner Tessmann. That is remarkable. That you could turn around those types of players that are now cutting their teeth at higher levels, wearing the number 10 shirt for Club America, starting for Juventus and scoring against Man City and Barcelona in the Champions League. Tanner doing his stuff. Chris Richards obviously winning trophies with Crystal Palace, and then you have Ricardo Pepi, obviously, once he gets healthy, unstoppable.
Playing Champions League.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who deserves the credit there at FC Dallas, but fair play to them, because that's got to be one of the most.
Where's Jersey at, Tones? Where's Region 1? Where's Region 1 in all this?
The Philadelphia Union's got a pretty good.
Let's count up them. Let's count up them World Cups, and then we'll have another discussion. Hey, but here I got a question for you.
What a comeback, by the way. That's the comeback of all comebacks.
I have this question. I don't know why I just thought about this. Where in his position, is he making it in probably the most underappreciated position, like him and Tyler? I feel like as a goal scorer is like the easiest, because you got numbers, right, that back up what you're doing. If you're a really fast guy, so I'm just talking about his progression. Like, he's doing it in a position that I think everyone that plays or knows the game, they appreciate the center midfield position, right? But it's still the hardest one to make an impression at for me, right?
I think there are a couple of things. Is
that fair?
Well, in modern day football, it's really, I mean, I'd say heavy in analytics. So how many times are you winning your tackles? What's your distribution like when you're, are you breaking lines? Are you playing key passes? So I think when you're talking about that position now, it's a lot of how many tackles are they winning? How much ground are they covering? What's their influence? How many key passes? So you can, if for the soccer nerds, you can put a number of players on a spreadsheet and go, okay, these are the guys that stand out. But from the eye test, it is a difficult position to really stand out and say, okay, this is a national team guy versus this is a guy that's destined for Europe versus an MLS player. This is a national team CONCACAF guy versus a national team World Cup guy. So it is a difficult position to break into. But for him to do it in the way that he's done it, remember, Inter Milan were looking at him if he didn't go to Lyon. He made a big enough impression in Italy, where he had a number of top Serie A clubs after him. So I think from that standpoint, I look back at the Olympics, what a good job he did in the Olympics with that team, that this is a guy on the right path.
Yeah, I would also say, Tones, thinking about the position a little bit more, is the transition moments. So what are you doing in transition? Most notably for me is when you win the ball, even if he doesn't win it, but if he's near the person that does, can he receive it and then unlock the counter press that is coming? That is incredibly valuable, and it's not necessarily something that you see. Does it fall under the key passes metric? I don't think that it necessarily does. But if you have a player that can consistently get out of tight spots in transition when we win it and now can unlock that, and say he could play a line-breaking pass into Christian Pulisic, who's got now time that on the half turn can go and start running at a back four. The players that can do that more regularly are the ones that I think are going to end up winning coaches over, winning the trust of their teammates over. And all of a sudden you've got a really special player on your hands. So the more that he can play forward in those moments, and then defensively, just really quick on that side, what kind of presence do you have to slow plays down? Right. I love N'Golo Kante. I love that dude. And I felt like he got better at the attacking side, but defensively, he was always a presence and a force, especially in transition. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just asked because I feel like there's clearly for goal scorers, there's like a fast track, right? If you score goals, they just get fast tracked a little bit more. And certainly soccer minds would know that position. I just feel like there's sometimes more of an appreciation for that position that you have to have an appreciation for what those guys do. If you start scoring bangers from that position, week in and week out, you solve that story a little bit. But yeah, just listening to his progression, and then when Chuck said, he's kind of going about it in the right way, and everyone has a different idea, excuse me, of the right way, but I like his pathway.
Yeah, I do too. I'm curious to see if he's going to tomorrow, and it should be a lot of fun. When we come back, we're going to break down this Ecuador team and how we think we're going to line up, and it's going to be a lot of fun, like always, because that's what we do. A lot of average of goodness here. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back into the show. I'm Conrad alongside Chuck Wagon and Big Tones, and we want to get into Ecuador because, as we mentioned at the top before we brought Tanner Tessmann on, thank you again to him for his time. They were very good, Ecuador, in World Cup qualifying. They finished second in CONMEBOL behind Argentina. They had 2 losses, which was the fewest in the region. They had 8 wins, 2 losses, 8 draws. La Tri, as they're known, despite being penalized 3 points for fielding an ineligible player in the 2022 qualifying cycle. They still found a way to finish second. Again, I want to reemphasize this. It conceded just 5 goals in 18 matches, which was the fewest in the region. Argentina and Paraguay were next with 10. And I feel like they're a dark horse for the World Cup. They're going to be a team you're not going to want to face. So, Chuck, I'm coming to you first.
Yeah.
I know you discussed there's no Moises Caicedo, which is going to be a big loss for them, but they got some other players that I think could not do exactly.
No, that's a big difference. You could say Hincapié, right? He's a quality player.
Okay.
He thrived at Leverkusen with under Xabi Alonso. I watched him a lot over the past 2 years, so I say, okay, this is a player that's very good. Moved to Arsenal, but maybe you could replace him, or find someone that could do something similar to what he does. But what Moises Caicedo does for that team, what he does for Chelsea, his engine, the tenacity, in a position like Tanner Tessmann, how much room this guy is responsible for. There is no like for like replacement. So right. That is a big difference maker for Ecuador. But other than that, I will say this team defensively sound. They don't concede that much. We'll also see Pedro Vite, who we've seen in MLS with Vancouver, Kendry Paez, young star, and then you have Iner Valencia, who is the veteran, but you also have Kevin Rodriguez as the young up and coming player. So I like how dynamic they are, but also they are structurally sound. This is a team that doesn't get broken down easy.
Yeah, it seems like, Tones, they have a clear identity, right? You don't give up 5 goals in 18 games through qualifying if you don't have a clear identity, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think the Argentine manager, Sebastian Beccacheche, he's been very good. He used to be an assistant for Jorge Sampaoli at the 2018 World Cup with Argentina, and then he went around and managed a couple clubs around South America in particular, got that experience. And he's a young manager. He's got a lot of energy, and I feel like he does a nice job of instilling and giving that type of enthusiasm and energy to his team. And yes, without Caicedo, without Hincapié, they're going to not be the same, but I don't necessarily think, as we're seeing some of the comments as well, this isn't necessarily a B team.
No.
Yeah, no, this is not a B team. That's for sure. And I don't think even with Caicedo not being there, I don't think the theory changes, right? The theory is be solid defensively, and be good in the attack, right? Iner Valencia has been doing it for a long time. You give the guy an opportunity. We saw in Copa America, we've been seeing throughout his career that he scores goals. So I think this is a great test. When I look at these 2 games, I've said for a couple of weeks, this could be your first 2 games in the World Cup, like this type of rhythm for these 2 teams. So we've been excited about these two windows, and we should be. This will be a fun one. There's no question it'll be a challenge. I do, and I know we'll get into sort of projections and all of that stuff. I do want to see them be a little bit more, and we've been saying this for a little bit more consistent in the attack. And who better to see, start to challenge your new ways of doing things. I like the roster that we have. We've been through that already. I think this is a great challenge. As a player, like thinking about everything that's happened with the national team, thinking about you got a World Cup, I don't know what the days is, 250, 60, whatever it is right now. Like this is the challenge you want right now with the national team. This next 4 games is exactly what you would want to and who you would want to play against. At least, I mean, I would. I can't imagine it's any different in camp.
Yeah, we're taking a look here at the next 4 games. All have qualified for the World Cup. So we're getting some World Cup opponents here. Ecuador, Australia, Paraguay on November 15th, and Uruguay on November 18th. It looks like, Chuck, that they're going to line up in a 4-3-3 ultimately. There could be a shout for like a 4-2-3-1. I think that's like splitting hairs. Ultimately,
it might look like a 4-4-1-1 as well.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a team that doesn't concede much. So I think when you're talking about Ecuador, it's a side that, one, is very good in transition, but 2, defensively, they're organized. You might get sucked in, and then that's where Valencia hits you on the counter. Because he's been that type of player where in transition he hurts opponents with his movement. He's still active for how old and for how long he's been doing it. Still effective as hell.
Yeah, he scored 6 goals in qualifying to lead the team, and then I guess Kenji Paez would be underneath Enter Valencia.
Yeah,
I mean, 18-year-olds. He's signed by Chelsea, but playing in Strasbourg right now, their sister club in France, getting a lot of minutes there. Obviously, breaking into that Chelsea team is not easy. But he's one for the future, and some could argue he's already there. He just needs to find a way to get as many game minutes at the club level as possible, so that's why he's at Strasbourg. He's going to be very difficult. I guess if they do play a 4-4-1-1, maybe setting up in a back 3 with 2 6s could manage Paez and Enter Valencia quite well. But I'm curious because then all of a sudden you might have a like for like wingback wise with Stupinian bombing up and down the left side as he does for Milan and Brighton previous. Who's going to be out there? Do we have a wing back? Are we in a back 4? We'll obviously get into what we project are going to happen in 2 different formations.
Yeah, Marty O'Malley wants projected lineups. He's like, hey, come on, guys. I want to see what you guys are thinking.
Okay, Martin O'Malley. Listen, you ask and you shall receive. Let's get into our lineups then.
Wow.
Let's start with our back 3 if we can, producer Des. If we continue, this is what we have projected right now. The people have spoken. And this is what we think. So we got Matt Freese in goal for everybody that can't see it, not watching on the YouTube. So you got Tim Ream on the left side. Yeah, or if you need some glasses. Tim Ream, Chris Richards, and Mark McKenzie would be the back 3. This is projected. We got Jedi Robinson on the left, McKinney and Tessmann as the 2 central midfielders, Tim Weah on the right wing back position, and you have Zendejas and Pulisic playing the 2 10s, and then Balogun up top.
My only thing here is, do we really think Zendejas will start over Tillman?
That would be, yeah, that's possible. I mean, Zendejas just scored a peach of a goal in the last one against Japan. So do you just keep rolling him out, or are you going to give Tillman? Yeah, that's up for debate, of course. Yeah. What would you do?
And
Chuck?
The way is up for debate, too. I mean, that's a projection, right, from us. But the way is up. He's listed as a forward with this team.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've seen under Pochettino where Weah has played on the left side with Anthony Robinson, and that was their best match under Pochettino, Anthony Robinson and Weah against Jamaica in the Nations League qualifier to get into the finals, right? So when I look at that, I'm like, do you go off of that experience and him being like, oh, the way they interchanged was brilliant, and what was it? Weah was left eye dominant, so he was on the left side. So we could see that. But ultimately, I think we've seen the comments of Mauricio Pochettino talking about Timothy Weah playing in that right wing back or right back spot because he plays at club. And without Serginho Dest there, for me, you need that verticality. You need somebody who can get in behind, who can play on the touchline, who's good 1v1 situations, and plays that position. So in this situation, I would want Timothy Weah playing as that right wing back spot.
Yeah, and also just when I look at this I know it's not easy to build a lineup and make it all fit into the screen, but I would assume Pulisic and Zendejas are pinched in. So just think about a box in midfield. So Pulisic and Zendejas would be on the top of the box, and McKinney and Tessmann would be on the bottom of the box, and there'd be a lot more space for Jedi and Tim Weah to get up and down. This one, it looks a little bit more congested, all things considered. Nothing producer Des can do about it. I'm not throwing producer Des under the bus. Just saying.
Yeah, you were. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Okay. So that was the back three. I want to take a look at what we think could be a back four, because when I saw this graphic before the show, man, I feel like this is maybe what we'll see, because it feels like with this particular group of players, maybe he feels better about it, even though I personally want to see the back three and the iteration of the back three. That obviously can be a fluid four or a back five. But if we can throw up the back four projection here, we got Freeze in goal still. Jedi on the right, Riemann Richards. So McKenzie is out. Freeman comes in as the right back, which I don't think he's as effective. I thought he was looking better and more confident when he played as a wing back against Japan. Then your middle three is McKinney, Tillman, and Tessmann. And then your front three is Pulisic, Balogun, and Tim Weah.
Now my thing is, why would Tillman be in this one but not the other one? Because
just to piss you off, Chuck.
I thought so. I thought so. But I think this would be the starting 11 if this was a four-man back line.
Which I guess it still could be, right? I mean, it could be just opponent-based if he thinks we're going to set up better. Let's say against Australia, maybe we'll try the back three again in that particular game, but against Ecuador, we want to be thoughtful about X, Y, and Z tones.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. This one, to me, for the personnel, seems to make more sense. I still think that I've heard out of camp that they really like Freeman a lot. So I wonder in that other formation that we showed, if Freeman is the right back and Timothy Weah goes in for Timothy Weah for Zendejas, yeah. But keep in mind also, Anthony Robinson just coming back from injury. He talked about fitness recently, so maybe he doesn't start this match, and maybe that's where Timothy Weah starts. I mean, there's some possibilities. I'm just throwing them out there. But I think we nailed the back four. If they're going to go with a back four, no doubt this is where they go. And I see Charlie's argument about Tillman. It's like Tillman, I think, as much as Zendejas, you guys know I like Zendejas. I've been calling for him for camp after camp. I think Tillman might right now, and I don't know what you guys think, have a little bit more equity with Mauricio Pochettino based on his time at the Gold Cup, where he might get the start over Zendejas, where they maybe see Zendejas as a little bit more of a game changer coming in as a sub, a different profile.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I do think that there probably was some currency that he earned by coming in to the Gold Cup. That's Malik Tillman. So Chuck, coming to you, what do you want to see? Now we have projections from kind of a collective mindset of what we might expect to see in either formation. But what does Charlie Davies want to see in this first game against Ecuador in this window? What formation? Which players?
Well, for me, I'd want to see a continuation of what we saw against Japan. So we saw a back three. We saw with those wing backs, and then we saw that box. And so Christian Pulisic looked the best we've seen in a long time for country. We know he's done it for club, but for country, being in a more central position, but having the flexibility to get out wide, the flexibility to make runs in behind, which he does for Milan. He has that flexibility of making the deep run because maybe a center forward checks into space. And he looked like a man possessed. That's when Christian's at his best. So for me, why not? If your best attacking player feels like he has more freedom, let him go.
Okay.
And so I'd like to see them run back with the back three. Therefore, the central midfielder pairing would be McKinney and Tessmann. I think McKinney has a little bit more freedom. Tessmann would sit a little bit more. And so I would like to see how that would work, because McKinney would have the freedom to cover all that ground underneath and make those late runs, because you have Pulisic, and whether it's Tillman or Zendejas, I think it would be Tillman, and then Balogun up top. So Balogun will have that support with Tillman and Pulisic underneath, and then McKinney making the late run out of midfield. So that for me would sound like a real opportunity to test how good this formation can be with these players.
Yeah, no, I like that. And to piggyback off of that before we get to Tones, there was something about the Japan game that just felt a little bit different. Because we had switched the formation, it felt like, put air quotes around felt, the guys looked like they were enjoying themselves a little bit more. Obviously, when you're scoring cracking goals like Zadejas did, but I really love the second one from Christian. Finds the ball in the pocket of space between the lines, catches it on the half turn. Balogun makes a nice, change of speed run in behind the defense, picks it up and slots it. We don't see that very often. And maybe the last time I can remember seeing something like that was when Gio Reyna played Flo Balogun in the Nations League when BJ Callahan was still in charge and we scored. I don't know if it was against Canada. Maybe it was against Canada where it's just like a nice little entry pass, good, well-timed run in the slot. Like, good. That was Charlie Davies used to score those for fun, every practice. And when he had opportunities in games, he'd slot them as well. So I want to see some more situations where that can unfold. And I wonder if that can happen in a back four in the same way if we're asking Christian to be a little bit higher up the field. What I do like about the 3-5 or 3-4-2-1 or whatever it is, the box in midfield, is that Christian can find himself a little bit more central, and that gives him that opportunity to find that pass, which I don't think he gets as much of a chance if he's picking it up on the sideline. Okay, said my piece. Tones, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll add one thing. I did my 3 keys yesterday and call it what you want. I want to figure out if we're a pressing team or not because, and I'm adding on all the things. I agree with all the things you guys have said. I don't think we're a good pressing team. We can press in moments like on goal kicks and stuff, but I don't think because my brain, when I think about our pressing, goes back to Switzerland game, Turkey, South Korea, and Mexico. Like the 4 best teams that we've played in that period, in my opinion, we weren't a good pressing team. We don't have to be a pressing team, right? We can be a little bit more condensed and get to midfield and you have to press in moments, deep throw-ins, deep free kicks, off goal kicks, all of that stuff, the normal moments that everybody presses in the game. But to be a pressing team and do it all the time, I don't know how you guys feel. I feel like we've been picked apart. So if we're going to try and be that, we got to get better at it, which means we got to use it in this next 4 games against top competition, or we got to scrap those moments and figure out another way to defend in lower blocks. So to add on to you guys, the press is a little bit concerning to me.
Yeah, I was trying to conveniently forget that we played Switzerland and Turkey. those were not fun games to sit through.
You can't forget it. I'll tell you right now. Yeah. You can't forget those.
Yeah, but I do agree with you about the pressing. That's an element of the game where there's so much nuance and subtlety and a lot of nonverbal cues and triggers, right? Like if when we played for Bruce, and with Bob as well, like the center backs can see the whole field. So they ultimately were the ones that's like, when are we going to go? When are we going to stay? And that
the center forward that starts the press. Come on.
Yes. Well, that's what it's by design.
And it starts by continuity. So for me, it takes time to either realize, like Tony said, we are a pressing team. And what are those triggers? Remember, international football, it's a little bit different. We don't see a ton of high press international teams unless they played together for a while and they have a good understanding, whether it's with the coach, whether they come together through U20 cycle, a U23 cycle, a full-time team cycle. They all know each other well. Maybe they play professional club football together, but ultimately it takes a lot of time and a number of windows. Pochettino doesn't have that. He didn't have 3 years to work with the group where you could drill every window. And then finally, everybody finally catches on at some point. With this limited amount of time, I don't know if the high press is there unless Balogun is the trigger guy. Everyone knows his tendencies of when to press and then the next guy, because all it takes is one guy to fall behind or be a couple of steps off and you're done. Especially we're talking about a World Cup against the top teams in the world. So I probably would say we're not a high pressing team. If you had to tell me right now, are we a high pressing team or not? I'd say most likely we're not. Maybe there'll be those small, minute minutes, moments in a game where you go, okay, everybody high press because it's televised. It's a high press. It's a bad ball. Otherwise, mid block all day.
Mid-block, I mean, we could argue we're better as a counterattacking team, or at least if we have the counterattacking mentality. that we could not necessarily, we don't have to sit in per se. I think there's a lot of nuance and subtlety there too, where you don't have, that doesn't mean if you're going to counterattacking team, you got to sit on the top of your box and then just play from there.
You got to create space behind though somehow, right? If you're going to be a counterattacking team, you know?
Right.
And it doesn't have to be so deep, but it's got to be somewhere where you have enough space to run into.
And center backs, Jimmy, you know this. Do we have center backs that can play a high line? Like we don't. Tim Ream, Chris Richards, and guy is at the moment, right? It could be McKenzie. It could be, Joe Scally down the line. It could be a Freeman. It could be a makeshift third center back, or it could be a center back. But realistically, there's not even one that you'd say, hey, this guy's got Virgil van Dijk close down speed. We just don't have those pacey center backs that can be a little bit out of position and still minimize any type of counterattack or any type of ball in behind. We don't have those players. So how would you want to play, Jimmy, if you were back there? Because you weren't known as like a guy that's got the pace, but you had a good mind. So you were sound, you were organized. So how would you say, hey, with this group, this is how we should set up?
Are you saying I have average to good speed? Maybe closer to average, Chuck? I appreciate that. So no, yes, I don't think we should play a high line for a lot of reasons. One, for the things you mentioned, and also we just might be set up better with the talent that we have to hurt teams more on the counter. That said, we shouldn't just stand on top of our box. One of my issues if you are a counterattacking team is that it immediately thinks, oh, we're just going to have 10 people on top of the box and we're going to try to play from there. My issue with that is if you win the ball, you still got 80 yards to go before you're getting any type of chance. And that's a lot of time for a lot of teams to get back and at least slow you down, and they can get set up in their block of players, and then you have to play from there again. There are elements of our game where I think if you can leave a Christian in a good pocket of space and Balogun's ready off the shoulder, or if you want to we have some speed on the wings as well, which we do, then we can hurt teams in different ways. But there has to be some coordinated actions to make that happen. And ultimately, to your point, and you already said it right from the get-go, Chuck, that is basically a mid-block, right? Where you're maybe about 10 to 15 yards off the top of the box. And that gives you some room, too, to squeeze if you need. But you're not just dropping to drop. If we're just dropping to drop, and I know that there are going to be moments in games where that's going to happen, but ultimately, if you're holding a nice line at like 15, 20 yards off the top of the box, then any through ball, that's going to have to be a hell of a through ball, because your goalkeeper should be able to come out and deal with anything that's, being aggressive or looking for that pass. But it allows your other guys to come back and recover. And then hopefully you're not too deep so that you have to, like I said, cover 80 yards to try to create meaningful attacks.
Tony, where did you feel comfortable with, let's say, you're playing Brazil in the 94 World Cup, where you knew Bebeto and Romario, you guys couldn't necessarily play a high line. So where did you feel most comfortable when you're talking about playing against some of the best teams, best players in world football? And you're saying, guys, we're not a possession-based team against some of these teams. We're not going to sit in our own box. But where did you think was the right line?
Yeah, there's so many nuances to the conversation, right? Because sitting at the top of your box doesn't mean that you're not putting pressure in some area of the field, right? But we all watch games. Look how many times you go watch a Premier League game. The game is basically, or you watch especially a La Liga game. The game is defender sat at one on the top of their box while the other team has possession, and then we go down the other field and it looks like that as well, right? It happens in spurts, but you're putting pressure in different areas of the field, right? You're not allowing them just to make penetrating passes and pick you apart. How do you beat, we've said forever, how do you beat Manchester City, a team that dominates you and you sit at the top of your box, sometimes even in your box, which makes it difficult. Teams that have been able to get out on the counter have been able to beat them, right? I understand the theory of going 80 yards, but that's essentially what a counterattack is, right? Beating the other team down the end of the field and having some coordinated structure. So there's so many different nuances to the conversation. If you're passive and you're just allowing the team to do something that they want to do, that for me, that's where I sit with Jimmy, right? I'm like, we can't allow that to happen. We can't allow them just to dictate everything that happens in the game. Where I liked it a little higher, Charlie, because I was athletic. I'd sweep up a little bit behind, but there were moments in that year, let me tell you, I was in Watford right, for a while. And as much as I wasn't able to play because of my work permit, I trained every freaking day for 6-7 months, and all we worked on was defending at the top of the box. And it used to drive me nuts. And they would invite balls in the box because we had 2 trees as center backs, right? And they wanted those 2 guys to win. And one of my strengths was coming out for cross. They didn't even want me to come out for cross. So there's a nuance to that, right? Like, we're going to invite them to a place where we think we're really, really good. And you can go through every team in the world and talk about the nuances. What I don't like is when we just allow teams to dictate the pace of the game for long stretches of time. Okay, you got the ball. You got your chance to do what you want to do. When the ball turns over, now we got to take over. And I think that's where we have failed a little bit, is like we don't have enough. You guys, we've all watched these games together. How many can we really say, like Jamaica game, periods of Japan game, and I'm sure we can go through the. I don't want to minimize the Gold Cup, but we played some teams that really weren't that good at the Gold Cup, right? But how many games in World Cup?
You don't say.
Yeah, no, but how many games in those World Cup type opponents that we've played over let's say the last 2 years before Pochettino, where we've been like, man, we had 15, 20 minutes where we just put them under pressure the entire game. I don't recall. There might be a few, but I don't recall a lot that stick out.
No, I agree with you on that. And something to discuss after the break. We're going to take our last break and call what you want. When we come back, we'll address this and some of your questions from the chat. Hit us up right now with whatever you got, and we'll take the best of the best and have a little bit of fun. So don't go anywhere. Keep it right here.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric.
Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount+.
All right, welcome back into the show for the final stretch. As a reminder, the U.S. play against Ecuador tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going live right here 15 minutes before that, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll give a little preview. We'll talk about the starting 11, and then we'll have a live watch-along and a post-game show. It should be a lot of fun. They are playing at Austin FC's Q2 Stadium, where all 3 of us were just at for the U.S. Open Cup final. Congratulations once again to Nashville SC. Also, it'll be nearly a year to the day since Mauricio Pochettino debuted as U.S. manager. It was also in Austin, a 2-0 win over Panama on October 12th, 2024. Goals from Yunus Musa and Ricardo Pepi on that day. The U.S. is 5-5-5 in their 15 games all-time against Ecuador. So we've got to break the deadlock, or I guess maybe not. You can still have a draw.
Can I tell you guys something? I'm feeling nostalgic vibes to the fullest this weekend, right? We got a Columbus Day tournament, and I'm going back to my old stomping grounds in New Hampshire. My 9-year-old boys will be playing in the same town.
Wow.
The same grass that I grew up playing on. And we're driving down tomorrow, staying in Manchester, New Hampshire, the same city I grew up in. And we're playing in Bedford, New Hampshire, and it's filled me up with all these vibes. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing the show from a hotel room in the city I grew up in, the city that I watched Tony first play in.
We need to do a watch party at one of them games, man.
That would be amazing.
A single camera watch party.
Let's do that. Also, do you own the hotel that you're staying at, Chuck?
Oh, Lord, Jimmy.
Because I figured go back to your hometown. You should own half the town.
Are you coaching too?
I'm coaching, and it's my old club, Seacoast, is running the tournament. So there's just a lot of vibes. I'm so excited to be coaching in it.
We got to keep us posted then. Do you have games tomorrow? Is there games tomorrow? Will we
two games Saturday morning? So Tuesday for our show, I hope I'll be able to report some positive results, some positive performances.
Give us your pregame speech right now.
Yeah, what's your pregame speech?
This is like emotional right now.
Saying, yeah. You're gonna have tears. What do you got?
For me, when I look at these boys, I get them in a circle and I say, guys, listen, you're 9 years old. This is a tournament that you're going to remember for the rest of your lives. And you want to go in knowing that it's not about if we win this game, if we lose this game. It's about how you approach this game. The performance, what I'm looking for is, one, we already know the non-negotiables. What are the non-negotiables? I look at them in the eyes. They go, hard work rate, coach. I say, that's right. Now, what are we trying to do today? I'm looking around. I always look at one kid. He goes, play beautiful football, coach. I say, what goes into that? Movement, coach. Passing, coach. Body shape. First touch. Great. Now let's go out there and show New England how we play football.
I'm ready to run through a brick wall, baby.
And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. So no, I'm looking forward to it. We got great kids, great parents. And now it's like, hey, this is where I used to score goals, on this field. So go score more than I did.
I love that. Now I'm really fired up and curious as to how this weekend's going to go for you, Chuck. That's awesome. Yeah. And obviously you can give us a little bit more insight tomorrow during our watch along. As a reminder, come back and join us here on the Gloss America YouTube channel. All right, let's get into some questions. Tones, I'll come to you first. This is from Martin O'Malley, who was yelling at us earlier to get the projected lineups up already. He said, Jedi has played sparingly with Fulham since coming back from his injury. He's not quite 100%, and he's admitted as much in some recent interviews. Martin O'Malley thinks that Arfson will start in that spot tomorrow. Jedi in as a sub, probably. What are your thoughts on the Jedi health situation, and how much do you think we should risk him in either one of these games?
Yeah, I mean, the risk part, they're going to figure out with the club, right? That they'll have an idea of what number he's on as far as minutes to be played. I could see Arfson. I still think they're looking at Timothy Way as a forward, not as a wing back, and they're looking at him as one of those guys in whatever three that we play in an attacking formation, whether it's the two underneath or it's three across the front. Until I see differently from them, I would think, Marty's probably onto something here with Arfson, who we know Pochettino likes, right? We've seen the proof is in the pudding. He likes him, and I think he feels comfortable that he has a backup, especially with three in the back, and not necessarily with four in Arfson, that they feel comfortable with. So Marty may have hit the nail on the head, and we're going to find out.
And remember, Arfson had his best camp in the last window.
He did. You're right. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right.
From that perspective, it's not just attacking, which we know in MLS he has no issue with his Columbus Crew side, but defensively at the international level, there's an adjustment. And how quick can he learn about positioning where he doesn't have to put himself always in those 1v1 on an island trying to defend at international top level wingers. You don't want to put yourself in that position. Now, you're going to have to a couple of times a game, but you want to minimize that with your positioning, anticipation, reading of the game. There's a big growth period from playing at the Columbus Crew every weekend to now playing for the U.S. men's national team and playing against Switzerland and Turkey and so forth. So I think he's finally starting to understand what is going to be asked of him and how to have more success at this level. So from what I saw, it was a big step in the right direction. Now, if he starts against Ecuador, that'll be another big challenge for him, and see if he can continue to develop.
Yeah. I'm curious to see, again, it's all going to be kind of formation based in terms of what his starting positions are and how much responsibility he's going to have defensively. He'll most likely go up against, though, Joel Ordonez, who 21-year-old defender who's very good, who plays at Club Brugge. So it could be a good matchup for him to see how he manages that. And winning your duels is something that Tanner Tessmann said. You got to win your duels out there. There can be a lot of important duels in this particular game. All right, next question. This is for our resident number 9, Charlie Davies. He comes from Carter. He says, do we have a striker, even if they aren't in camp, that can trigger the high press so that we can play that way if we want?
Yeah, Balogun. I mean, he has to be that player.
They said not in camp. Even if they aren't in camp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there someone out there in the player pool that can do that?
Yeah, Ricardo Pepi obviously can. He's done it. I've seen him do it at Champions League. I mean, Haji's playing for in the championship where it is that way.
I feel like it's just necessary in the modern game, right? You have to have that ability.
Anybody who plays as a center forward has to be able to press.
Right.
You have to. So again, it's reactions. It's being proactive. There are a number of things that go into a center forward being an elite presser. And, you know, I look back at when I was playing, I think when I was growing up, I played American football. And so as a safety, as a cornerback, there are times where you got to be able to read the quarterback and you got to be able to read a wide receiver's route and anticipating. And I was able to use that in the way that I pressed and trying to bait the goalkeeper to play it to a center back that I pretended like I wasn't going to be able to cover or read, or an outside back. And then as that foot's coming back to play, I was already taken off. And if I didn't get to it, I got to the defender before he even had a second to think about the next play and get their head down. Yeah. So again, for all these strikers who are playing in the center forward position, it's just figuring out where you want that keeper to play the ball or the center back to play the ball, giving them that false sense of security, and then putting that pressure on to make sure that their head goes down. Or
did you like that part of the game? Did you like that
part?
I
loved it. Because that was the only time as a center forward.
You loved it?
I loved it. And I'll tell you why.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
It's the only time, that you could absolutely put a licking on any defender, any defender who wanted to rake his studs against my Achilles or step on my feet or give me an elbow. It's the only time you could get payback, and it was never seen as like a foul. The referee goes, oh, it's an aggressive press, and it wasn't like seen out of the blue like a retaliation play. You had to wait for it, but I love those moments because when you did win it, you didn't win it. I'd say 2/3 of the time you didn't win it, but around a third or a fourth of the time that you did win it, you were in on goal. You created a chance.
Isn't not your only job? Your first job isn't to win the ball as a striker. It's just to make it predictable for the guys behind you.
Yes,
the play.
Right?
But I always felt I could.
Right?
I always felt I could win the ball because whether they took an extra touch, maybe they always thought strikers were going to cheat, right? Most of the strikers, they did cheat. They just said, okay, I'm going to put my fake pressure and you're going to go to the right or you're going to go to the left, and then my job is done.
Right.
I'm certainly not going to follow you up the field if you keep going, because now I know if you're a center back, Jimmy, and you want to keep going because you have the space, well, guess what? Eventually you're going to lose the ball. And hey, I'm by myself. That's what a lot of strikers think. Okay, but I thought of it as, hey, these guys don't think I'm going to continue on with the press, and I might get a toe poke here. And if I can toe poke it back to my central midfielder or my outside midfielder, they're going to play me in directly in behind. So I did enjoy that part of the game.
Well, what's interesting for me is when a ball came up over the top, and now I'm running, getting to the ball, get to the ball first, but now I'm running towards my own goal. And if you have a striker who's savvy, they're not, to your point, Tones, they're not trying to win the ball. They're just sitting on you to try to do something either cheeky or to maybe hit a soft pass back to the goalkeeper or whatever. It's the ones that actually came with 100 miles an hour of energy that I knew were trying to tackle me that were actually easier to manage, because they would give me some kind of sign that they were coming on my left side. So cool, I could cut off to my right and I get past them, or they'd be coming on my right and I could pull it back and go the other direction. I actually liked the guys that were just running kind of crazy and not thinking so much. The ones that had a little bit of savvy were trying to trap me and bait me into doing something. I hated those bastards. I hated those guys. Yeah.
It's so tempting for the forwards, right? Because you think, like, you see the separation of the ball off the foot and you're like, I could go poke that one.
Right.
And now everyone behind you is setting up to one side, and all of a sudden the guy pushes it by you and it's like a long switch somewhere. That's where you get killed, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think, like, the forward has to, like, really be smart in those moments, because if you can't win it and you go in for it, then you're putting everyone else now who's just kind of starting to shift over in a lot of trouble. So that's why I asked the question. But not every forward likes it, and not every forward enjoys that part of the game.
maybe I think if you don't enjoy it, it's because you don't understand how Chuck has really embraced it, how fun it could be, right? If you start to see it as more of a fun and an opportunity to gain an advantage, maybe not immediately, but down the line,
Right.
you would approach that position a lot differently. All right, last question, and it's from me. Predictions for the game. Chuck, how do you think it's going to go between the U.S. and Ecuador? What's your prediction for tomorrow night?
I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm going to go 2-1 U.S. men's national team.
This team has given up 5 goals in 18 games, Ecuador.
I'm telling you right now. I think we scored 2 goals tomorrow. And by the way, let's not forget how big of an absence Moises Caicedo will be for this team.
Yeah, that's fair.
He is the engine. He literally covers every damn blade of grass, tough tackler. He sets the tone for this group.
All right.
I know this is still the A team, but there's a big difference. Ecuador with Moises Caicedo versus without.
Yeah, we can say the same thing for Chelsea. And speaking of tone, let's get to Big Tones. What are you saying, Big Tones? What's your prediction for this one?
I think I'm going to go a draw. 1-1 draw.
I should have gone first.
Draw. No, I don't want to go 0-0 draw, but 1-1 draw.
I was right there with the 1-1 as well. Two goals against a team with this type of identity, Chuck.
And I'll just go draw, Jimmy. I won't give you a score. Draw's the same, right?
1-0. We're getting some 1-0s. Yeah, what's everybody saying in the chat right now? 1-0 to the U.S. We're winning, boys. I hope we're winning. We want to build on that momentum of beating Japan. And yeah, wow. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna say draw as well. I was gonna say 1-1. We can be on the same team here. Big Tones.
Wow.
Though
your
I'm hoping
opponents changed. You said we're gonna beat South Korea like 5-0.
You know what? This
Hey,
Ecuador
Jones.
team. This Ecuador team's a different gravy, man. This is a different gravy of a team. And listen, Chuck, I'm hoping that 2-1 is what happens, that we win 2-1. I want that. That. But I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. That's all I'm saying. All right, join us tomorrow for our watch along. We'll be coming to you live 15 minutes before kickoff. That is 8:15 p.m. Eastern here on the Glosso America YouTube channel. Should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see the starting 11. I can't wait to see how this game's going to play out. I can't wait to see which players are going to start and play and compete, and it's going to be awesome. So come back and join us. Thank you for hanging out with us today, and we will see you tomorrow for U.S. versus Ecuador.